Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Fortunes. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, another episode? I've never heard of this before in my life. But it's a series that's coming over from my own personal channel, which, let's face it, hasn't got the biggest following in the entire world. And at the end of the day, it's all about the Mongolian Horses FC Challenge League on Fantasy Premier League. So I thought, why not whack it on the MHFC channel, give you guys some extra content during the week. So here it is, and like I said, if you're not particularly familiar of what this is, at the start of the season we started our own league on Fantasy Premier League, and the rules are basically enter that league. If you can beat one of the MHFC players, if you come top of that league, then you can win yourself a nice little selection of the merch behind us. 2 items, a hat and a shirt of your choice. Obviously not either of those Miami Dolphins hats, they are actually mine, so I'd quite like to keep them. And if you're not familiar with this series, then obviously you can head over to my channel now and check out the first few episodes. But the main premise of it really is just a week-to-week kind of hints and tips really about what I feel is going to be going on in the coming up game week in the Premier League. Who are your real bargains, who are your must-have players, and who are the players you're going to be looking at for your captains, as well as your good opportunities to use those little bonuses on Fantasy Premier League. Because believe it or not, we really want to give this merch away. I've got loads of it just sitting on the wall. I've got massive of boxes of it down there and in the back of my car. We need to get rid of it. We want to give it to you. So let's have a look at the league then and see if any of you guys are in with a chance of winning it. So looking at the league then, it is 2 MHFC players that currently lead the way. In first place, it is the one and only, the original Mongolian horse himself, Alex Armstrong, the diabetic discoverer, who's currently leading the way. How he's doing it from aboard, I don't know. Obviously, got enough time over there to keep on top of all his little transfers, and yeah, if anything, probably got a little bit too much time on his hands by the looks of it. And second place is our #1 goalkeeper, Tom Negresley, Peaky Blinders, doing very, very well. And we've got Jakey Stevens is in there as well. He's also in the top 10. So we've got 3 MHFC players currently in the top 10. But like I said, still a long way to go. The main challenges we're looking at, we've got John DeGraff Johnson in there, Budak Futsal, Mohamed Fati, Ahmed Mohamed, Lewis Wilson. So there's lots of you in there that are currently up there, only about 40 to 50 points in it, and like I said, there's still such a long way to go, so plenty of time to catch up on those points. Like I said, I'm currently sitting in 77th place, so yeah, I've got a long way to go, but I still believe that I can do it. I still want to get up there. I want to be the first Mongol on that list. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at this week's fixtures. So looking at the first fixture then of the game week, is a big one. We've got Liverpool playing at home to Manchester United. Now looking at Liverpool for a start, Mane has picked up another injury, so he won't be playing this week and got a hamstring injury, which is a very, very big blow for them. You look at their other key players going forwards, Coutinho's obviously started scoring goals. Mohamed Salah has been on point for them so far this season, but they have travelled a lot during this international break. Coutinho's been off to Brazil, Salah's been off to Egypt, so whether they're going to be really at peak fitness, I don't really know. And when you look at the Liverpool midfield, Jordan Henderson in there, if he plays the same way this week against Manchester United as he did for England over the international break, then Liverpool do not stand a chance. Manchester United as well, they also have their own injury problems. Obviously Fellaini and Pogba, the big 2 for them, big real units in a game like this, especially when you look at Liverpool have been really struggling defending from set pieces. Missing those 2 bodies in the box is going to be a bit of a blow for them, but they've got a lot more strength in depth than Liverpool, so I've got to edge Man United for this one. When you look at the players, they've still got Martial, Herrera coming in, Matic, Mkhitaryan, Rashford, Lukaku, all the others that I've probably missed. I mean, they've still got enough to really, really put a few goals past what is quite a weak Liverpool defence. So obviously you've got your main suspects then looking at Manchester United. You've got Lukaku, you've got Mkhitaryan. We're looking for them to link up assists and goals, definitely between those 2. And a bit of a cheaper option as well, Marcus Rashford. He'll probably be starting the game. And only 7.6 million on Fantasy Premier League. He could be a bit of a steal, and this is the kind of big game that he'll be looking to make a mark on. The second game then, probably bigger actually than the first game. We've got Burnley playing at home to the mighty West Ham United. Now, looking at this, Burnley have been a team this season that have been quite inconsistent at home, but been playing really well away from home. West Ham, a team that have just been inconsistent, full stop, but we have started to pick up a few points now. But looking at this, West Ham away, Burnley at home, you're not going to expect the goals to be flowing in this one. So from a Burnley point of view, you've got to be looking at their defenders. You've got Nick Pope in goal. He's done really, really well since Tom Heaton has been injured. And you've got Ward at the back, getting up, playing on that left-back position, getting up, scoring goals, getting assists as well. He could be a shout in this game. Going forwards for Burnley, you can't look past Chris Wood, really. If you want a cheap striker, 6.6 million, looking to be get at the back there at what is quite a fragile West Ham defence. Kept a few clean sheets lately, but they're not fooling me. I know there's still problems there. You can't pull the wool over my eyes, Slav. So, yeah. Burnley, they're going to be your main guys to look at. If you want to look at a bit of magic, obviously, from West Ham, you go to, guys. You've got Lanzini now. He's approaching full fitness. He'll probably get the start in this one because this will be a very important game. Obviously, Slav wants to win everything he possibly can right now. And then Chicharito going forwards. He's still quite cheap, around the 8 million mark. So he's definitely a good option to get in because obviously he doesn't need many opportunities to get his goals. But if he's playing in that left, like forward position, and Carroll starts again, so far that has been absolutely horrific for us this season. So if that happens, he's not going to score goals. If he gets to play up top, then I think he's definitely got a goal in his locker this weekend. Match prediction, score draw. So then moving on to the third fixture, and things don't get any easier at all for Crystal Palace. They're playing at home to Chelsea this week. In terms of Crystal Palace, obviously we all know that they're awful. Still not scored a goal this season. Playing against Chelsea, that's not really going to happen realistically. Their main player that's been actually decent for them this season, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he won't be available, obviously being on loan from Chelsea, so they don't really stand a chance in this one. Chelsea as well, though, they are missing a few players. Obviously Kante's missing, Morata's missing, so they are two massive players for Chelsea to miss. But they've still got more than enough to easily put 2 or 3 goals against this one and keeping a clean sheet. So obviously, if you want a clean sheet, get Courtois in there, 5.5 million. They've got some nice fixtures coming up as well, so he could be a shout for the long term. In terms of the defenders, they're just so expensive. You're looking at Alonso and Azpilicueta, between 6.5 and 7.5 million for those two at the back, which is money. But if you think it's worth it, chuck it in. Myself personally, I'd go for a cheaper defender myself and probably leave them out. Going forwards then, you're looking at the main two, I think, for this game. Hazard, this is the real opportunity for him to step up. He's had a very good season so far, and this could be the time where he really gets himself a man of the match performance, couple of goals maybe against that fragile Crystal Palace defence. And Pedro as well, for a bit of a cheaper option. We've got Pedro there, 7.9 million. Hazard, you're looking 10.5 million. So there is a good 3 million gap there. So depending on how much money you go for, but Hazard's going to be the real main guy in this game. It's his time to step up. Man City Stoke then, obviously a big blow for Man City with Aguero in that unfortunate car crash, breaking a few ribs. He's going to be out for a little while. That means it's a big opportunity for Gabriel Jesus to step up. He scored a couple of goals for Brazil during the international break, and now he's got to lead that line, be the main man. He's definitely going to be goals this week, in my opinion, playing at home to Stoke. The main people that are obviously going to be backing him up, you've got Kevin De Bruyne. He's expensive though, about 10 mil in that midfield. Sane, you think probably might get a start in this one. He's looking at about 8.3 million, so he's quite a nice price. And David Silva as well in that midfield. He's been so unbelievably consistent for them this season, and he's obviously going to be that main guy, anchor in midfield, pinging balls about the park. So he's great for a couple of assists, and about 8.3 million for him as well. He is a bit of a steal. Stoke, can't see them having a chance in this one. Not worth your money on their players, to be honest. Stay away from them. Easy Man City win. Next game then, Tottenham playing at home to Bournemouth. Now obviously playing at home, playing at Wembley. They've struggled a little bit for goals. They've struggled for consistency. But if you want a game to kind of really kickstart your season at home, it's going to be at home to Bournemouth. Really struggled on the road, shipping a lot of goals as well. So when you consider Harry Kane, the in-form man in world football right now, you'd be foolish not to have him in your side. He is 12.5 million, so it might be tricky to squeeze in there in terms of how much money you've got to spend. But it's just foolish not to have him at the minute. It's like I say, he is expensive, but he's worth it because he's just guaranteed goals. He's in the shout for captain of every single game week, so you've just got to have him in there. In terms of his little backing cast, who's going to be really helping? Obviously, you've got the main suspects, Christian Eriksen, about 9.6 million, so he's reasonably expensive for a midfielder, but cheaper than some of the others out there. And his balls into the box and everything are just absolutely deadly. Be really looking to exploit balls over the top, balls behind Bournemouth at the weekend. And then Ben Davies at the defence, he's my real main shout. He's a real bargain when you look at the Tottenham defenders. Getting up and down that left side, 5.7 million, so he's definitely not cheap, but he's by far top scoring defender so far this season, so get him in there because he's absolutely smashing it. And then the next fixture then is Swansea playing at home to Huddersfield. Yay. I don't like this fixture. I don't think it should be played. It bores me. And I'd stay away from it at all costs, to be honest. I mean, it's going to be one of those games that's either going to be a really, really woeful 0-0, or it's going to be like 5-5 as they're both just going for it because they both need points at the minute. But in terms of their players, I mean, if you really had to push me to pick a player from either side, Tammy Abraham, he's my man. I think he's cheap. He's 5.6 million. So if you've got money, even just to put him on the bench, and if someone in your main team doesn't play and he might come in, that's about as good as it's going to get for this game, I think. But other than that, I just, yeah, can't be bothered with it. The next fixture then is quite a tasty one in my eyes. We've got Watford playing at home to Arsenal. Watford have really been performing quite well, in my opinion, a lot better than I thought they would. A lot of new signings that really kind of upped their performance of the team. The main two there being Doucouré and Richarlison. Richarlison, 6.1 million in that midfield is quite a nice little bargain buy, I think. He's going to be the main attacking threat going forwards for Watford. When you look at the Arsenal side, they've picked up a bit of form lately. I mean, they're not blowing the world away with their performances, but they're just picking up a couple of nice steady 2-0 wins, that kind of thing, which is, I mean, what you need. It helps them ticking over, and it's going to help Arsene Wenger and the board thinking that they're doing a fantastic job. Coming back from the international break then, Wenger likes to mix things up because he's just an idiot. Sanchez obviously coming back into the side, but he has been over to Chile this weekend, so whether Wenger will see that as a reason to start him on the bench, I don't know, so he's a bit of a risk for me. I'd leave him out. Lacazette is your main guy. 10.4 million, again, quite expensive, but this year, if you want the best strikers, you've got to really pay the P for it, to be honest. So get him in there. And if you're looking at defenders, I think it's a game where both teams could easily score, but if you want to edge a Arsenal defender, I'd say they're probably more likely to keep the clean sheet. Nacho Monreal has been really performing, getting up as well, and scoring a few goals. So you take a bit of a chance with him, but 5.5 million is about the same price you expect for like a top 6 defender. So might be worth a bit of a punt, but not too fussed if you don't really. Now the next game as well is another one that doesn't particularly excite me, to be honest. We've got Brighton playing at home to Everton. Brighton, they've not been goals, really. They've not had any standout players apart from this Gross guy, who had 2 massive games, and I'm sure a lot of people already have him in his team as well because he's cheap at 5.7. But other than that, I wouldn't really see. They've got, well, I mean, they've got a few injury problems up front, so Glenn Murray's probably going to start, which means that, yeah, that he's probably even less likely to score goals against an Everton side that will just really take any performance that they can and any result, because they have been awful this season. A lot of people at the start of the season are thinking, oh, they're going to challenge that top 6. They might be the overperforming team, especially with the amount of money they spent, but Coman now is really, really getting desperate for results. But their only player that they've got that's really in any kind of form, and it's more for country than it is for club, Gylfi Sigurdsson, at about 8.2 million. He scored a very, very vital goal in getting Iceland to qualify for the World Cup over the international break, so he's going to be absolutely buzzing. So maybe he can bring that kind of form and that enthusiasm into the game and get himself a cheeky goal, but that's literally clutching at straws. That's about the best I can come up with for this game. If I had to say, maybe Everton sneak a 1-0, but it's going to be tight. The penultimate game of the weekend then is another one that's got a potential 0-0 written all over it, to be honest. Southampton at home to Newcastle. Southampton obviously struggling for goals, especially at home. Newcastle don't score a lot of goals themselves, but have looked reasonably solid, in fairness to them, at the back. Southampton then, I mean, like I said, they've got nobody who's in any form whatsoever, no goal scorers. But the only player for them who's been holding any form of consistency is Stephen Davis, their captain, in the midfield, and only 5.1 million as well. If you want to put a change in there for change's sake, or you want a decent bench player, something like that, Stephen Davis is about the only person from Southampton that I would even consider having in my team at the minute. Looking at Newcastle, they've got a few players that are in the old, you know, the little yellow triangle that's kind of 75% chance of playing kind of thing. So there's a lot of players for them that are a bit of a risk for this weekend, and especially in the midfield they've got Richie and Atsu both looking at late injury fitness tests for this game. So they've been the main 2 creative ones as well. So when it then comes to that, yeah, you can't really see who's going to create anything for them. Hossalu's been playing up top for them. He's awful. He did finally score a goal, but that was as lucky as you like. Tried to slot it, came back off the keeper, hit him in the knee and trickled in the far corner. So maybe it will take a goal like this to decide this game, but I couldn't really pick any player that's definitely going to stand out in this one. Result, yeah, 0-0. The final game then, Leicester versus West Brom. Another tricky one to call, but I'd have to edge Leicester in this one. I think West Brom have been a bit leakier than they have been in normal seasons. So when you look at Leicester, then obviously you've got the usual suspect in Jamie Vardy. Not been setting the world on fire this season at all, but obviously he can create a goal out of nothing. Good old-fashioned Sunday League centre forward, which is what I like about, especially when you're playing a West Brom team that are going to make it almost like a Sunday League fixture. That's the kind of player you want in there. Shinji Okazaki as well, he's a cheaper option. He's only 5.6 million. Well, he's not a goal scorer by any means. But it's going to be the kind of game where he's going to be really pressurising that West Brom defence into potentially a few mistakes. Could get himself assist or poach a goal in this one. And they were quite poor against Bournemouth. They had Mahrez on the bench for this one. He'll probably come into the starting lineup in this week's game. But 8.5 million, you're taking a bit of a risk with him. West Brom then, looking at their players, the only two that I can really pick of, I mean, you can pick any of their back four, to be honest, because they're all capable of scoring goals from corners. Johnny Evans is the main informed one at the minute. When you look at those defenders going forwards, probably looking at Solomon Rondon. If he starts the game again, he always makes a massive nuisance of himself. And him in there, along with that big back line of West Brom's, that can really cause Leicester some problems at corner kicks. So, yeah, again, not players that are kind of I'm really raring to put into my team, but players that could, you know, get themselves a handy few points. Moving on finally then to the captain's pick. Now this is where we pair off the two kind of main performers we think are going to be in this game week, the two highest scorers and obviously the two best options for captain. Pair them off against one each other, give you little guys a chance to vote on who you think is going to be the main performer, and who knows, I might even listen to you. I've obviously got in here with this wealth of knowledge who I think is going to be captain in my team, but if the poll goes elsewhere, who knows, I might change my mind. I just might, unless you are clearly trying to mug me off. But hopefully none of that. Obviously, give your honest opinion who you think is going to be captain. It may not even be either of those two. If you think it's going to be someone else, then obviously leave a comment below. Let us know who you think is a must-have captain for this week. But say, like I've gone for, obviously, Harry Kane, Gabriel Jesus for this week. Harry Kane is just goals at the minute. Literally just all of the goals are Harry Kane's goals, and he's not giving them to anyone else. And then we've got Gabriel Jesus. Obviously scored a couple of goals for Brazil. Might be a little bit tired, but he's now going to be that main man up top for Man City, and I think he's really going to flourish playing in that main position. Maybe not under the shadow of Sergio Aguero. It's time to be that main guy going forwards, then be the big chief up top and get himself some goals. So let us know what you think is the best choice for captain this week. So then guys, that is Fantasy Fortunes. That is the basis of it. Obviously a new series for a lot of you. Let me know what you think of the series, whether you enjoy it. Obviously give me a like and a comment about your feelings on the series. Obviously give me a comment as well if you think I've got the captain's picks massively wrong, if there's anyone you think that I definitely should be having in that team, or there's any results that you think I've got massively wrong. So yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate all of your support. We've got a lot of ideas in the pipeline, but we do need that support to keep on bringing you original content. So all of that would be very much appreciated, guys. Hope you enjoyed the series. Good luck for the fantasy game week ahead, those of you in the league. And yeah, in the words of Ant, it's on to the next one.